The federal government has said, look, it will engage Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger Republic in light of these announcements that all three of them have severed ties with the regional body, Economic Community of West African States. But also, let's put on record that Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu is the chairman of the ECOWAS. However, these three countries have decided to move on, as it were. But just a few months ago, our partner correspondent, Danjuma Abdullahi, had put together for us the challenges and some of the successes of the regional body. What exactly are they? Let's find out.
The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, was established in 1975 with the objective of promoting economic integration in all fields of economic activity. 48 years after the establishment of the ECOWAS, there is controversy over whether the regional economic body has achieved the set objectives. Some researchers have pointed at the development of an expanded market which ensures the free flow of goods and services as one of the achievements. Other achievements of the ECOWAS include free movement of people within the sub-region without the use of visa, sports promotion through the WAFU Games, and the right to reside within the member states.
Economic Community of West Africa.
ECOWAS also encourages democracy and strongly condemns military intervention under any guise.
The delivery of good governance is not just a fundamental commitment, it's also an avenue to address the concerns of our citizens.
For several decades, Western liberal democracy is seen as a catalyst for fostering development in West Africa and indeed other regions of the world. Experts agree that democratic principles have the power to drive progress and prosperity. However, lately, scholars are beginning to reanalyze the concept.
The essence of every government is to provide good governance. And time again, it has been found that democracy could not provide this good governance. Not only in Niger, not only in Nigeria, but globally. The platform upon which democracy operates on such a manner that the interest of the few is superimposed over and above the interest of the majority.
The frequency of the summits.
5 West African countries are currently under military rule following coups. Niger Republic is the latest country and is facing severe sanctions from the West African regional body ECOWAS. ECOWAS has resolved to send a delegation of 3 member countries to Niger Republic to negotiate the reduction in the number of transition to democracy period. ECOWAS also wants the delegation to discuss the release of ousted Nigerian leader Bazoum. The regional body has indicated that the outcome of the mission will either result in a reduction of the sanctions or increasing them.
Under Bazoum, they were being paid €2 per ton of uranium. Today it's about €200 per ton of uranium. The difference of about 198. And according to some projections, if this thing continues only on uranium, not on other things, only on uranium, in the next 5-7 years, Niger is going to be one of the best 10 countries in terms of economic development and growth.
Already, the military leaders of 3 West African countries have recently signed a mutual defense pact which calls for the 3 neighboring countries to come to the defense of each other in case of any aggression. Experts have posited that beyond meetings and fostering camaraderie of African brotherhood, the ECOWAS is far from achieving its set objectives.
For 1975 till date, it's still on policy. So these are some of the questions we should ask ourselves as West Africans. Do we need eternity to introduce this single currency? Do we need eternity to do away with the colonial borders? Do we need eternity to have that not only artificial integration, but the real integration within the West African sub-region? So other sub-regions across the world are far ahead of us, and we have started earlier than them.
Experts agree that the dream of creating a large trading bloc that would facilitate self-sufficiency and cooperation among member states can come if members come together and genuinely take security seriously.
One for all and all for one. That is the agenda that we should put for security. And we can do it. We should be able to protect ourselves from external imperialism. People putting mouth into our own affairs. We should resist it and reject it at the same time.
Experts say member countries must also strive to achieve political stability, which is a function of good governance, development of transport infrastructure, energy infrastructure, and massively invest in the information and communication technology. Danjuma Abdullahi.
Thank you, Danjuma Abdullahi, for that brilliant reporting there. ECOWAS is a long drawn-out conversation, no doubt about that, especially when you look at the several elements in this development right now. We'll be joined by someone who has a handle on this discussion and how the sub-region has fared in the last couple of decades to help us find some context and perspective, then give us insights and some bit of foresight in the course of the show this morning. Again, we'll take another break. Our next discussion will focus on illegal mining in Nigeria, security, economic nexus of it. Thank you for staying with us, everyone. Like we told you earlier, we have two guests joining us one at a time this morning. I want to help us look at issues around insecurity from the standpoint of illegal mining, what it means for Nigeria, what can be done to address the challenges on that front. The second gentleman will help us discuss issues that have to do with the exits, as we now know it, of three countries, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger Republic, from the Economic Community of West African States, that is ECOWAS, and what the regional body can do to be able to address many of these issues that it grapples with. In the meantime, Queen Agaba is back on the show, and Queen and I, a while ago, we were just talking about some of these concerns, all right, with regards to insecurity and ones that have to do with regional politics as well. In the meantime, the chairman of ECOWAS, as we know, is not even in the country right now. Of course, they say it's a global village now, so you can lead from anywhere, but nothing beats a president that is at home. Speaking of which, Nigerians have also now started reacting to that, yes, that trip in itself. I mean, these are several issues that we'll have to talk about. And I was reading something this morning about a particular African president who has now decided to embark on a medical trip. But first of all, he had to formally notify the nation to say, I'm traveling for XYZ reason. I'm sure that's what many Nigerians expect President Tinubu and any other president for that matter to do.
When we talk about transparency, this is what we're talking about. Let us be in the know. You know, you hold a public office, you hold the #1 position in the country, and so I'm sorry to say there's nothing private about you, especially in times like this. So we want to be aware where the president is going to, what is he up to, of what benefit will it be to the country and to the existing challenges that we're currently facing in the country. And then I just want us to go back a bit to the issue of illegal mining. Now, it now poses a question. Obviously, I'm sure our guest will be able to, you know, maybe answer some of these questions. But now, the question that we'll be asking is, what can we do moving forward? How do we now begin to dissuade this illegal mining? I would say that maybe engaging in community, community
sort of policing.
Not really policing. Maybe engagement, enlightenment, education, community enlightenment. So.
All right. I can imagine. We're just going to take a quick break, everyone, so we can get our first conversation on the road this morning for you. Do stay with us. Let's now bring on the show Felix Osareme. Is a lecturer, Department of International Studies and Diplomacy, University of Benin. He joins us live via Zoom this morning. Thank you, Felix, for taking our time to join us on the program.
Thank you for having me in the program.
Excellent. So I'm just going to run through it. My colleague, Queen Agaba, will be throwing a few questions at you as well. But let's set the ball rolling. You and I had discussed issues around Niger a few months ago, but today we know a lot has happened between then and today. Three countries, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger Republic, have decided to leave or exit the ECOWAS. What does that say about all of the developments we have seen in the sub-region lately?
Well, let me take it off from where you just stopped. The disengagement that the three countries in West Africa have indicated is not automatic. By provision of ECOWAS treaty, if a country chooses to disengage from the economic community, it will take at least a year for the process to be completed, and there will be need for ratification, because treaties are not things you just wake up and abdicate from. So that being said, it's a sad development in West Africa that ECOWAS has existed since 1975, and suddenly there is this undertow, this undercurrent of disagreement. Now, we should be very specific about certain developments here. Niger had an extra-constitutional change of government last year. Niger was not even the first. Mali, Burkina Faso has already gone down that route. Guinea is also on that route too. So it's not Niger per se. But what we are looking at is that the case of Niger threw spanner into the works, because when it happened, there was a lot of uproar, particularly from countries that Niger felt were not better positioned to question the action that took place when the military decided to remove the democratically elected president. Nigeria not only chairs ECOWAS right now, Nigeria had a very difficult switch from a civilian to another civilian government because of the litany of cases, both at the governorship level and even at the presidential level. So credibility crisis trade the current administration in Nigeria. And Nigeria is also sharing ECOWAS. So for Nigerian government that had credibility crisis at its own installation, to begin to pontificate for another country that said that their democratic elected government was not meeting the exigencies and expectations of the civil public, that calls into question. So the undertow I mentioned earlier on is not the fact that they want to leave ECOWAS because they are already overfed with ECOWAS, because they are reacting to certain developments. And the two developments you can easily point out to right now is one, that ECOWAS is beginning to interfere. But in the statement they forwarded to the Commission, they are saying that their sovereignty is being infringed upon by some of the actions taken recently by the ECOWAS chair and other members of the union that are supporting the position of Nigeria. But we must also say clearly here that there's a lot of dissent within the union. For example, when they asked that there should be a lockdown on Niger when the coup just happened, the Republic of Benin did not support that position. They allowed land corridor for Niger to receive goods. Nigeria unlocked our land borders, but Niger is a landlocked country. Niger did not get supplies through Nigeria as expected. The Republic of Benin opened a land corridor for Niger immediately to assist them in getting necessary inputs. Nigeria also threatened to cut off, in fact, at a point, Nigeria shut down their power supply. Although there was an attempt later by the Nigerian government to explain that they had fallen back in their payments to the Nigerian government. But the Nigerian government also shot itself in the foot, forgetting that the reason why Nigeria did not put up a dam was because they agreed that Nigeria will supply electricity to them. That's why if they put up a dam, our Kanji dam will not have enough water, the volume of water that is needed to power the turbines. So Nigeria did not do a strategic review. Nigeria helped ECOWAS to impose a no-fly zone. It also happened that our president almost flew over the airspace of Niger that they imposed a no-fly zone on, and they had to threaten that if a presidential flight passes their airspace, they will shoot down the plane. Now, all this have happened. So we should have been seeing a defrosting of the IC relationship, but it has escalated again now, because Nigeria, as far as Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso are concerned, is playing the script of Western powers that dictate. And one of such Western powers that Nigeria has close relationship with is France. As of today, our president is in France. I would not say it is connected to the disengagement plan of these former colonies of France, but I will say that the countries in question are not comfortable with the way we are handling the issue of their disengagement or of their extra-constitutional change of power. It would have been better to use the time-worn diplomatic move of let us see ourselves as brothers. All these countries are in West Africa. Economic Committee of West Africa has 16 members. If 3 pulls out now under this condition, it may lead to others begin to have a rethink about what they are benefiting from in the union. But again, interestingly too, ECOWAS protocol has a clause that talks of humanitarian intervention. Nigerian government will argue that we are trying to forestall a breakdown of law and order. But when you are talking of breakdown of law and order is when there's a possible insurrection or there's open riots and attempts by elements within the state to throw up maybe violence. But in the case of Niger, in the case of Mali, in the case of Burkina Faso, this junta that we have just mentioned, even that of Guinea, they have mass support from the majority of the populace. So it will be difficult for us, therefore, to say we are going to be more Catholic than the Pope. The citizens of these countries have not openly denounced their government. In fact, it is the Nigerian government that is saying that the claim to popularity is constructed, that those people have denied the citizens the freedom of choice of their leaders. That is what Nigerian government is hinging our argument on. And these people are saying that the democratic governments that they have overthrown were not meeting the demands of the people. So it's a very difficult matter. Diplomacy will ease this argument. Using strong arm methods will not work. The military junta in these countries, they have openly allied themselves with Russia. So geopolitics and international policies has entered this argument. It's no longer a West African matter. It has escalated to a global matter. And considering the fact that Western powers and NATO are strongly supporting Ukraine against Russia, Russia is looking for a way to demand a pound of flesh. Guinea, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, and the Benin Republic, no, not Benin, and I'm trying to remember the last one. They have all allied openly with Russia. So, in the geobalancing that we know, in this situation, you therefore find that Russia is very happy to give maximum support to these countries. And any country that Russia is supporting openly, particularly in West Africa, where we are still going cap in hand, begging for aid and arms, no West African country, no African country will openly go against Russia. Consider also the fact that South Africa is also very closely allied to Russia. Then the game is becoming very clear. To now reverse to the Cold War era of East versus West, if we are not careful. I think reason will prevail in the long run, and I'm positive that if they explore diplomatic options, send high-profile personalities, there may be a reversal of that position. It is not yet a fait accompli. It is still a work in progress. They have only sent in their demands that they want to pull out, but it takes a year for such to be concluded. Within the last week that they made that open, and Monday that they concretized their position, and the next 1 year, I'm sure they may step back from the brink of the precipice.
Many thanks, Mr. Osei-Felix. So while there may be a reversal, what are the implications, for member states of the ECOWAS? How would this affect? Because we see that obviously we've not heard any official statements yet from the ECOWAS, but I want you to tell us how this is going to affect, the cooperation between member states of the ECOWAS, and then how it's also going to affect, trade policies and all that.
Yes, ECOWAS started basically as an economic community. If you take the same path that the European Economic Union started with, that later became the EU, it normally starts as an economic union and gradually it will coalesce into a political arrangement. ECOWAS started like that too, but ECOWAS later drew up a defense protocol when they had to go into ECOMOG. And from there, they have been taking up an ECOWAS standing force to actually carry out decisions of the Committee of Heads of State and Government of ECOWAS. Basically, if a country decides to pull out of ECOWAS, it will rupture feathers. It will ruffle feathers a lot. Rupture relations in the sense that we are looking at an economic union that has been built around certain protocols. One of such protocols is that you can move around without applying for visas. All you need to do is just show your passport. You have the liberty to stay for 90 days in any of the countries in West Africa without any official documentation like passport and security clearance. If those things are withdrawn, it will make cumbersome the free flow of goods and services and human beings within the sub-region. Now, the integration of ECOWAS should have also led to the creation of a common currency. That has not really happened. The French bloc, they still use their CFA, the franc. Then in other countries, they have their national currencies. But there is ease of currency exchange at borders and passing points. If some countries begin to disengage from the bloc, protocols will be set up. All these things will begin to limit free flow of goods and services and ideas. the synergy that has existed in ECOWAS over the years from 1935 to date, it's not going to be easy to rebuild such a structure. So once there's a crack in the wall, let me use the word as if it's a dam, if there's a leakage, it will affect projections and plans. And those things will not help West Africans in the long run. So as I said, I'm positive that they may have everything. We have personalities that can intervene and help them to step back from the brink. It happened before when they refused the delegation sent by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Then some traditional rulers in northern Nigeria stepped in and they made overtures to some of the religious leaders in Niger, and they were received. So that actually helped to tar the frosty relationship. This one is part of what we call end game. You stake your options so that you can have better bargaining position. In negotiation, it's also acceptable. So this move they've made in these three countries that have closely allied themselves since the coup that happened in Niger, it's going to move to the point where West African countries will begin to review part of their relations with each other. But I hope it will be for good, because sometimes when you are doing review like that, some will be left behind. Nigeria has been a major force in West Africa, in Africa, and on the global stage. Nigeria is presently chairing the ECOWAS seat as the Committee of Heads of State. Now, if Nigeria is sharing that position, Nigeria therefore has a huge role to play to act as an impartial arbiter. But the steps taken by the government of Nigeria since the coup happened in Niger has been more of an interested party. Nigeria was even judgmental by simply asking them to go and reverse the act. It is difficult to ask a city government to just go back and unbundle itself. What Nigerian government should have been doing is what we call collaborative engagement, so that you ask, okay, what exactly do you want to do for your country? We know that you have been able to unseat this man. It will not be very easy to bring him back. Reconsider, find a middle ground, but to give them ultimatum, that is unheard of. And that is why they are reacting the way they are reacting, because they are arguing that their sovereignty is being infringed upon. Nigeria will not tolerate that from any country. Most countries, even banana republics, will not tolerate such direct instruction from an outside state. Not even just an outside state, a state that has credibility crisis in its own leadership. A state that you are harboring more than 200 to 300,000 of their own citizens as refugees in your country, because Nigeria has a lot of refugees in Niger. I don't see Niger citizens as refugees in Nigeria. So Nigeria is not considering the long haul in this issue. It's more as if it's an elite system approach where only the leadership are thinking of how to secure themselves, what we call regime security. Oh, Nigerian government may be feeling that if it could happen in Niger, it should not happen here. Fine, there are things that went south that made this coup to happen. And one of such is that the democratically elected government of Niger was alienated from the citizens. So the military stepped in. The citizens have been happy that the military stepped in. The question is, how do you work on getting them back to the barracks? What are the things to do that they will not return again? Nigeria as a country has passed that road many times. We've had series of military coups. We've had a civil war. So we should be better positioned to advise them on the steps to take. We should not be the one actually fanning the flames of the conflagration. And that's what our government has been doing by most of its pronouncements. I have not really seen positive and very brotherly of what we can call fraternal engagement on this matter. All we have been hearing is Nigerian government imposing ECOWAS protocol said this, we want to do this for democracy to thrive in West Africa. Democracy that is not popularly accepted is sham democracy. The early fathers of philosophy in the Greek city-state, Plato, Aristotle, even Socrates, they didn't support democracy. The Western democracy that we are all popularizing today, Athens had the best form of democracy in Greece. The Athenians condemned their own and asked for better options because they believed that democracy was akin to mob rule. They wanted a philosopher king, somebody that will lead based on proper education and the ability to consider the interest of the majority of the people, those who are less privileged, those who are the underdog society. That is what democracy is supposed to be focused on. Was that what was happening in Niger? Is that what is happening in Nigeria? Is that the common trend in West Africa? These are questions that made those who took over power in Niger.
We would like to say those are very salient points that you have raised, and they should give us a reason to want to rethink governance in the sub-region going forward. In the meantime, I want to say we appreciate the time you spent with us on the program this morning.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on the program.
Excellent. So we take a quick break, everyone. We're right back in a few minutes to bring you a second and last conversation on the show this morning. Do stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. I'm joined by Saliu bin Tahir, a solid minerals expert as well as an engineer, to help us look at illegal mining with a special focus on the economy security nexus this morning on the program. Saliu, thank you for coming.
It's my pleasure.
Great. So, I mean, you are a Nigerian based in Nigeria, doing business in Nigeria with a family in Nigeria. So issues around insecurity naturally will be of concern to you as well. But let's look at it from the standpoint of your own sector, which is the solid mineral sector. Now, we have stories around how that illegal mining has continually fueled insecurity, not just in the north, but we even hear somewhere in the south, particularly the southwest, and so on and so forth. How did we get to this point where mining became illegal?
Thank you for having me this morning. Nigeria has a lot of policy and regulation to make all this move smoothly based on the international standard. But the problem we have, let's begin, if you want to be a miner after acquiring a land within the community, you go to the Federal Ministry of Mine to obtain your license. That is step one, after making all the community engagement. Then the second step, at the process, when you start operation, if you reach a point you want to start blasting, because all these minerals, we have to blast it, like all these stones, if you talk of granite, lithium, all these limestone, and so on. Formerly, we import the blasting material on the government, then we buy it. But now, during Obasanjo administration, they were unable to build a one factory that produce all these blasting material, like explosive, ammonium, coal, and the rest we need to blast. So before you go to that stage, you must register with the anti-bomb squad from force headquarters, direct you to the state you are mining. They will be aware. You get a blasting license.
And there's paperwork for this process?
Yes, there is. There is. Like my company, we have all those things. Then, since we are experts, your blasting master will check the number of the holes you want to blast, so the quantity of the material you may need for that blasting. Good. If you place order, they would give you 5 anti-bomb to escort those blasting material, because they are very sensitive, to escort it down to the side you are going to blast. Then after bringing it, there will still be, from the state, they will send anti-bomb inspection to come and inspect the day you blast. Let's say we'll blast tomorrow morning. They will be there to supervise that all things you place on order for this blasting material, you use it complete. You know why? So that all those explosives will not fall in the hand of terrorists to go and cause destruction, and will not be moved out of the site to kept in residential area. Because all those things have lifespan. They are the way they preserve it. If it's not properly preserved, it explodes by themselves. Just like what happened in Ibadan.
Right.
But where the problem comes now, based on the level of the corruption in the country, the people that are in charge to follow up this thing, to make sure that it's properly done, sometimes, if you can settle them, they don't care. Because refer back to what happened in Ibadan. There's no way they will be bringing huge amount of all these explosive, all these blasting material things, put in a residence. They will be there. All till the time these things happen. What are the security agents doing? How did those things get there? How did they allow it to be in the residential area? There is a bunker we call magazine where we keep all those things in the site. You build a house, you prepared that you can be able to store this thing. You can keep it even for 10 years. That's where they preserve it. Nothing will happen, but it will be in the site you are mining.
Right.
In case if there's any accident, it will be there in the bush, not that residential area.
It's interesting because Dele Alake, the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, has also expressed very serious concerns about developments in the mining sector. He has categorically said there are powerful Nigerians behind these illegal miners. Add to that, after the Bodija explosion in Ibadan, Governor Seyi Makinde came out and said a good number of the names that he found with the CAC when they did a background check after that incident are non-Nigerian names. So that shows the level of irregularity that has been going on in the sector.
Yes, yes.
But let's talk about this issue of powerful Nigerians. Is it so difficult to address that aspect of the conversation?
No, it's not really difficult, because let's pick one example. Trump is the ex-president of United States of America.
Right.
Am I right? But there are some things that happened during his administration. You can see what is happening with him now.
What the court cases?
Yes, yes. But one of the greatest challenges we have in this country, like all those ex-presidents, ex-generals, sometimes when they do anything, it's like they're above the law. Government overlook those things. And if they did not start taking measure from now to bring those kind of people to book, to prove to the innocent, to prove to the masses, to prove to the entire people of the country that nobody is above the law, that is how we'll continue.
And that's a sad thing to do.
Yes.
Let's talk about mining police. We understand that is one option the federal government is now also considering by way of checking this illegal mining and so on and so forth. Is that feasible? Or even when that happens, will you answer the questions around illegal mining?
Well, you know, it will be very difficult to address such issue now. Why? We don't even have database. A country as a Nigeria is supposed to have database. Are you getting me? They're supposed to have the numbers of the houses, have numbers of the people, the entire citizen, what you are doing, what is your job, what is my job, if I'm a businessman, if I'm this, if I'm this. When government has all the record in the system, when something happens, they know exactly where to go. But we don't even have, and we don't even care to have. So how do you keep records?
So data is important.
Very, very important. Okay. When all this happened, we find out they are from Mali. How did they get into the country? How did CAC give them license? Without checkmating? Without following up? For how long had they been mining in Ibadan? How did they bring those explosive, all this blasting material to the residential area? To cause a lot of damages. That affects almost 5 streets. You can look at the magnitude of the blasting material they kept there.
So the question is, what is the procedure for foreigners to come into the mining sector? Because you just said there's a standard operating procedure.
Yes.
How do foreign miners come? I mean, what should be the ideal process or procedure for them to come in?
They can come, because sometimes we need foreign investors. You don't depend anything locally.
Right.
You give room for them to come in. But there are procedures. Let me give you a simple example now. Like we that are Nigerians, are local miner, we're into mechanized miner. We have a mining company. We've been in the system for the past 25, 27 years in the system. If we are paying revenue or taxes, there are consideration we being local in the country. But the foreigners, government generate more money. So sometimes we welcome them because that's how we grow the GDP.
Right.
But bringing them in now doesn't mean that they will not follow the due process or they will do things anyhow. No, they have to be checkmate. We have to have all these mining police inspectors that check site to check how the activities go on. Let me give you a simple example now. In the mining industry in Nigeria, as we are today, people that has license and are due, government are aware of their mining, that are into mechanized mining are not up to 15%. The remaining 85% are artisanal miner and they're illegal. Because if you are artisanal miner now, you don't even need license. I can put a lot of site for you now. When if you go, you see people 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, even 10,000.
People?
Yes, there. Because they are artisanal. They are no mechanic. They don't even need equipment. They mine manually.
And they do that every day?
Every day. And it is not supposed to happen. Why? Because the environmental degradation. It will cause a lot of problem. Erosion in the nearby future. Sometimes even earthquake. But if people are, like the modern system of mining, because of technology now, there are equipments we use for all those things to make the environment friendly to the community, even we working. There are ways we take care of all those things. So I believe the Nigerian government has a lot to do.
Let's talk about the Nigerian government for a minute too. Dele Alake is the Minister of Solid Minerals Development. He's been there for now for 5 months.
Yes.
Would you say we have seen a difference in the sector under his leadership so far, even though it's just been a matter of months?
Not really much, but I like the step he's taking. I believe he will get there, but he has more to do. He will get there. The tax is not easy.
Right.
You understand? Because they've lived this thing for years. For years. It's almost run out of hand. So bringing it now, put it in a proper channel. You know, he has a lot to do.
It's going to take a while.
Yes. Maybe even their first time, let's wait for their first 4 years. I don't think he can meet up.
Let's also take a look at, the mining sector, the solid mineral sector as a whole, vis-a-vis oil. Nigeria is a country that largely depends on oil, right? Are we paying enough attention as a government to the solid mineral sector? Because we keep hearing things like we have 38 different minerals, we have blah, 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 blah,
No,
blah.
more than.
We
have up to 86.
Are we maximizing these opportunities? And what are the reasons, in case we are not?
We are not. The problem we have, if you check out, let's go back to the history. Before the independence. In the north here, we produce granite, cotton, and the rest to support to GDP. In the south, they produce cocoa. In the southeast, palm oil and the rest. That is what we export and make money back to move the country forward. Immediately they discover oil.
They abandon those areas.
Later on in the future, we discover we have a lot of mineral resources. But everybody's attention, including the government, is on the oil already. And there are even some minerals that are even more easy to source, to generate more fund, to GDP, to contribute even more to the oil.
So what more do we need to do going forward as a country? Because whether you like it or not, a time will come when oil will not be the darling that it is today. So what can we do to quickly take care of that?
Even now. Look at the way the global is moving so fast in terms of all these electronics, technology, growing so fast. Before you know, today, tomorrow, things have changed. They have moved to the next level. Lithium now, before you know, 5-10 years, Europe now, from now to 2030, a lot of their cars will no longer be using diesel, either petrol, but will be using either solar energy or this lithium battery, like for all these electronic cars.
Right.
And it's high time for us to prepare to join the race so that we will not be left behind. Because by the time we are left behind now, we will have the oil, but it will become useless.
Without the deposit of lithium we have in this country, and given how valuable lithium is in the electronics market globally, I mean, Nigeria is hardly mentioned when you're talking about nations that are blessed with lithium.
We have, really. But you know what government is supposed to do now first? Apart from we that has license, they give us the right to mine lithium. Because like me, I have about 3 lithium sites. Apart from me, I mean apart from the foreign investors, government is supposed to invest into mining that lithium, the way they invest into oil as well. A lot of, let's say, government has their own deposit. Get the engineers they want, put them there. Anything they source is for government. Government will be generating its fund through there now, and they will still be collecting taxes out of it.
But we're not doing that right now.
We are not. We did not even make that step for now.
Have we seen a remarkable increase in our efforts to attract foreign investors into the solid mineral sector? Have we seen that?
Yes. With the step Dele like is taken down and try to put one or things in order, not to leave things anyhow the way they are before. I believe we are getting there and we attract them.
On a final note, Tahir, let's talk about the private sector. What should be the role in an ideal situation of the private sector in all of this discussion we're having? Are they doing enough right now?
Yes.
Because government cannot do it all by itself.
No. The private sectors are doing their best. Why did I say they are doing their best? Because there is no government backing. You understand what I'm trying to say? There is no government backing. Like what we are doing now, we source our money. Sometimes we take loan from the bank. There are no government backing. There are no government coming in to support the mining sector. There's none. It's zero.
How can we boost regulation? Because we can't just have the mining sector as an all-comers affair where anybody can just come in. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry can just come in. And even the oil industry, the oil sector has some sort of guards, even though we know, yes, we still have incidences of oil theft here and there. But how can we ensure that we improve on regulations with regards to the mining sector?
That is what Dele Aleki is working towards now.
So you think...
But before it's not there.
All
those things are not there. Nobody cares. Let me give you a simple example. All these artisanal miners were at Osun State, Elisha. We have site with my goal. We partner with one Chinese company. We work together. There's a lot of sites there where artisanal miners come in, all these outside boys, casino everywhere. You see them over 6,000-7,000 there mining. Every morning, the Elisha local government, those boys will come, they under-registered. Every morning you pay 200. That time they're collecting 200 from them.
200 naira?
Just 200 naira per head. But if you check 200 times,
the volume,
5,000, 6,000 people. So they are generating. Buhari intervened directly as a president of Nigeria. They should allow those boys, they are looking for food to eat. Nobody should collect kobo. And from there, they did not collect. So what is more important now is not even the money, but they are checkmating, they are regulation. They know numbers of the people, they know their name, their signature, everything.
They have database.
Yes, database. But if they leave them like this, the database is not there. Anybody can come in, even bandit can mix up. All these criminal elements, like Boko Haram, they can mix up, can be in the mining side. They can mine in the day, in the night, they go and commit their criminal activities.
Interesting. This is a bit of a very complex conversation. But I'd like to thank you, especially Tahir bin Tahir, for coming on the program. This is going to be a long, drawn-out conversation, which means we're going to have to talk about this again and again as the events unfold. We do hope you have a great day ahead of you.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
That's our program for you today. Thank you, everyone. On behalf of my colleagues here at Global Television, we say we're grateful for the time you spent with us. Remember, the views of our guests are their opinions. I'm Uyag Mofwegbe. I'll see you again. Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle with the ASIS strike.
You have done their work, you have put us to the wall. We are not the slaves. I'm not a small boy. You should have given me the report. I have not seen the report.